record, it's record.
Okay. Hi, yes. Okay. Hello, sir. Okay. While we wait for more people to come in, so we'll just wait around 5 minutes. And we'll just start at 5 minutes. Maybe you guys can just click your name and say where you're coming from, where you're joining us today. Appreciate it very much. So I'll just start. Since I have the mic. My name is Joshua. I am from Brunei and I work with UNDP on meaningful youth engagement in sustainable development. So this is a module level 6 on climate action, a long time coming. And we are very excited to show it to you all. And it is a little bit heavy than your usual how to say this, your usual movers workshop, as this is your level 6, so it's a bit more dense. So bear in mind or beware. So yeah, I think we have 1 minute more until we start, but please continue to put everything on the chat box. Really appreciate it. If we could make this as engaging as we can. And yeah, sit back and relax. We will be starting soon. Hi, Afnan from Brunei. I am also from Brunei. Normal. Okay. With that, we've reached 5 minutes, and I'm seeing and checking all of the chat box. So we have people from the Philippines, Indonesia, Bangladesh. We have someone from Vietnam, but also calling from Cambodia. We have Afnan from Brunei, my fellow countryman, from India, from Philippines, from the Pacific. Yes, nice. We have someone from Thailand and we have one from Kazakhstan. Wow, all over the world in the Asia Pacific region, we have them in this room today. Anyways, I quickly introduced myself just now, but I can start again. My name is Joshua Blayan. I am the Youth Meaningful Engagement in Sustainable Development consultant. So this is a workshop on climate action. Presenting with me today is my colleague Merdul. He will be sharing his slide later. He's a bit unwell, so I'm not sure if he's going to open his camera or not later. But if he is, then you will see his face or grace his face. But yeah, just to also let you guys know, especially the people who are new here, this is basically the 6th installment of the climate action series that we've been doing. It's always nice that we're pushing new climate action work. And this is something that we have been developed for months already. So we're really excited to show this with you guys. Yeah, I think that is all from me, and we go to the next slide. Jingy, next slide.
Yeah. Should I share
Next slide,
screen?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, just a quick one. I think I mentioned a little bit of that just now. It's a joint pathway of movers and YECAP for young climate advocates, which are willing to enhance their climate advocacy by taking three levels: personal, collective, and systematic. So Movers for Climate volunteers mobilize their communities to take climate action through workshop, challenges, meetup, and online campaign. And this Movers workshop is also developed by UNDP with a technical input from the Folk Bernadotte Academy. I hope I don't butcher that. Next slide. And yep, the objective for today is to basically understand what are your climate domains. So differentiating between general climate action work, climate security, climate justice, and climate governance. Understanding the unique contribution to climate action, reflect on personal strengths and interests to find a specific focus. So we all have so many different things that we are focusing on, right? So this is in a way for you guys to focus on which area that you have been working on. So this craft focus advocacy strategies that leverage the distinct features of each climate action area for improved outcome. And we will utilize the knowledge of specific climate action areas to engage more effectively in activities, campaign, and lead to stronger and more impactful climate action outcome. So next slide, please. So before we go any further, this is the rules for people who have new to the whole movers mechanism, but to old timer, like we have Maria here who are long time movers, Lorenzo, uh Putili, so all of them here. I'm very happy that you guys are here. The veterans are here. So here, first is listen with attention, share with intention, suspend any judgment, trust the process and the facilitator. Feel free to share your feelings and reaction anytime. So have fun and make new friends, especially in the breakout room session later. So next slide, please. So our first engagement, this is a general thing that we usually do. So from 1 to 10, how is your current level of energy? And you can write it in the chat. I know some of you guys are fasting right now, and maybe the energy level is a bit sluggish, but if you guys are here, I'm already very happy. So yeah, just put it inside there. Would like to see your energy level. So we got 4, 7, 9. Wow, we have 11 out of 10. 110% from Mr. Dinlong. We have 12. Wow, even amazing. 120%. How about me? We have 99. I don't know how many percent is that 99%? I don't know, man. Anyways, I'm happy that you guys are are very enthusiastic of this. And it is currently at 10 p.m. here in Fiji. So yes, thank you for making your evening here with us, spending your evening and night with us. And going to the next slide, please. And also a very traditional tagline at the end of this workshop, I'll be happy if. So for me, if I'll be happy if I need to think. I will be okay. I know. I'll be happy if you guys can at least see my core facilitator face for even 1 minute. I know he's going through excruciating pain. So if you can just show his face like, and then he smile and then he go back to his facade of pushing this through, that'll be great for me. So yes, I'm seeing. We'll just wait for a little bit more in the chat box. Network and learn well with each other. Happy, be more things get into action as youth. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this is, I guess, a question from everyone. But you know, we also have the veterans here as well. We also, wow, we have the veterans of veterans. We have the veterans of veterans coming here. I just want to say, how long have you been involved in climate action? Regardless from which level. I've also want to acknowledge my bro from Pakistan, Shersha is here. Hi, I hope you have a good fasting. Yes, thank you everyone for putting. So we have 5 years, 8 years, 3 years, 4 months, 8 years, and 8 years. So we do really do have veterans here. And I mean, this is also the demographic, right, we're targeting. So this is the sixth installment of this climate workshop, and it is a little bit more technical as well, or a bit more dense than usual. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so enough of me talking. You will hear more of my voice later, but I want to give a segue to my co-facilitator, Mr. Mridul, to share his slide. Mridul, the floor is yours.
Sure, thank you so much. And unfortunately, guys, I'm not able to stand or sit straight. So I will have to take support of my table and I'll continue like this. So yeah, my name is Mridul. I'm a co-facilitator with Joshua. We both worked on this Movers program and we are very happy to share it with you. Previously, if you have already taken part in some of our climate related movers program, the level 5 of climate action mover program is around 3 levels of climate action. Yeah. So we talked about that if you know what climate is and if you decide that you need to take certain action around climate, then it can be at 3 different levels. It could be something at the personal level, something at the society level where you are engaging collectively with more people, and something at the systemic level where you are trying to engage in policies, you are trying to enhance something in the government or some mechanisms around climate action. So these were this is a quick recap for people who have not attended previously or people who have attended it, and we want to build upon it, right? So there are 3 different level of action that you can take. Now we will go next to, if you can go next slide. Yes. So, because some of you have already been working in this space for quite so long, we wanted to check with you as you have progressed through your climate action journey. Have you noticed your area of interest narrowed or not? Yeah, so maybe like you started with your own understanding, but then moving forward, you felt that, okay, I want to focus more on or broadened as well. Yes, Dilong. Maybe you started with only at the personal level, but then you decided to work at the systemic level as well, at the collective level as well. So I'm already seeing some responses. Normal is mentioning climate and then also included with human security, gender. Ramesh is mentioning yes. Samik is also mentioning yes. Debua is mentioning food sustainability and policy. So broaden. Okay, Maria is saying both narrowed and broadened. Okay. Angelica is saying it has improved so much, like policies, law, engagement, all of it happening. Okay, that's interesting. Let's go to the next slide. Shesha is saying, yes, both for me. In some areas have developed technical skills, but also as educator, it has brought. Great. So now we want to focus on strategic importance of dividing and conquering your climate interest. Yeah. And we will be talking about levels and we will be talking about themes as well. I'll come to the themes, but level you already know, 3 different levels. It could be at your personal level, it could be something at the collective level, it could be something at the systemic level as well. So why it is important to really divide and conquer, why it is important to have really like specific focus. So number one is because it enhances expertise and innovation. So Shesha, like you are mentioning, you chose a specific tool where you wanted to gain more expertise around being an educator, and that's why you are specializing in it, and you are, maybe some of you are already trying to innovate something. Maybe, I'm not sure, like some of you mentioned about food sustainability and policy. So you are already identifying a very specific space and we are trying to go deeper into it. So that helps enhancing your expertise, and it also helps you or it gives you an avenue of innovating more into that specific field. Yeah. So of course, that is helpful for deeper understanding on solving from different angles. Okay, next. It also helps increasing the impact, because when you are concentrating all of your effort on a particular area, you can create significant impact. Again, taking example of Shesha. Shesha, you have been engaging with Climate Mover program and you focused on raising awareness in your community, being an educator, and you have been able to organize so many training programs in the community, and that of course is what is helping to increase the impact as well, because you focused on you concentrated your effort on something. Next. It also facilitates collaboration. So when you have specialization, it is easier to identify where else you need some support. So you can look for complementary skills, complementary interests, and then you can proceed with those collaborations. Next. We can do all the next so that yeah. So next is it helps in advocacy and communication, because you are focused. So you are not talking about this point as well and that point as well. You are easily able to communicate what you are doing, because it's a very focused thing. And then you can also advocate, because you are not like as Babua was mentioning, if he's focusing only on, or sorry, he or she, I'm not fully sure. Like if you can focus on food sustainability, then you are just advocating around that idea, and you don't need to worry about, let's say, raising awareness around general climate issues, or not about like general Paris Agreement. So it is easier. It helps you to do focused advocacy as well. Okay, next. It also increases meaningful, manageable learning and action. Because you already are trying to divide the big issue. There is a lot that needs to happen around climate action, but you're already dividing that into smaller pieces. And that makes it more manageable to learn and also to do something about. Next. It also helps you to divide or allocate your time, your money, your manpower in a better way, because you know how, like, you have limited time, limited money, limited manpower, and if you have focused, concentrated efforts, you can decide, okay, maybe I want to spend 20% of my time around personal action, 30% my time in maybe anything specific related to policy, and maybe remaining 50% with collective action. But you can also decide that maybe I want to merge collective action, and I want to dedicate remaining 80% to only policy making. So that is also where you can improve your resource allocation if you have better understanding about different levels and how you want to prioritize. Okay, we go next. So we talked about levels, yeah, and themes both. But what are the themes? Level you already know. We have levels like personal level, we have collective level, and systemic level. Now the themes are, if you click next, Z, if we click next, sorry, there are so much animations, so Z, we will need you clicking frequently. So the themes are related to climate security, climate justice, and climate governance. Yeah, so levels you know, but then now we will go deeper into understanding these themes, like how we can have different thematic areas or avenues related to climate where we want to engage in or where we can engage in. So I will cover the first part, climate security, and then my colleague Joshua will be covering climate justice and climate governance. Okay, so let's go next way. What is climate security? Yeah, but before that, it is also um, good to understand that divide and conquer is not only for increasing your um, like resource management, increasing or making you more focused, but it is also an important step toward responsible, intentional, and ethical leadership. Yeah. So please also try to see that when you are engaging in climate space, um, people are already judging you a lot because of some people might think you are an opportunist. Some people are thinking maybe you are becoming too crazy about these ideas. All of those kind of things. So we always need to keep proving that we are responsible about it, we are intentional about it, and we are very ethical in this leadership. So to do that, it is essential to clear about your specific goal and the possible impact that you can have because of your action. So for ethical leadership, number one is, if you go next, Z, that intentionality matter. So you need to define specific goal of your action. You cannot say that you are doing this as well, that as well, that as well, because then it's difficult. Like what is actually changing to what, or what is causing what? It becomes very difficult for people to make that connection. So you need to be very specific in your goal. What climate problem are you intending to solve? Yeah, through your initiative. It, like, same action can do multiple things, but it cannot do everything. It cannot be like doing something related to climate security as well, climate justice as well, and climate governance as well. If you are saying that, okay, single initiative, like you're planting the trees, okay, fine, you can plant the tree, but what are you planting it for? Is it to just increase the greenery? Is it to solve some climate security issue or climate justice issue or climate governance issue? It cannot be doing everything without having an intention, right? So what is your intention? That is that is very much needed. Otherwise, a lot of things are happening unintentionally as well. Yeah, but intentionality matter as a ethical leader. So that's the first point. Second, if you go next, see, attribution is also very important. Yeah. How many people are on the call today? 45. About 45 people are interested about climate action. All of us are trying to do something, yeah. But then we need to communicate what exactly we are trying to do, or what impact are we creating. All of us are not creating same impact, yeah. So there is some attribution that we need to give to maybe Peter, maybe Pooja, maybe CT and Freda, all of you people, right? So you can only do that if you understand and communicate the direct impact of your initiative. It could be something happening unintentionally, indirectly as well, but what you wanted to do, and then you can get the attribution for that particular thing to happen because of your initiative. Yeah, so what specific change can be attributed to your effort and your action? You cannot say that just because you planted 100 trees and it solved every problem. Yes, you need to know like what actually changed because of your intention. And that is also, if you are very focused, if you are very intentional, if you are having concentrated effort, it will be easier for you to prove that, yes, this is the direct impact of your initiative. Okay. So that is why also it is very important that you think about levels and themes in deeper ways. The next. And last is, if you are doing that, if you are very very intentional, and if you are very true to your attribution, then you will also end up not over claiming unnecessary also
Oh, I
organizing this
think.
training program.
Okay.
Yeah, suddenly if I keep saying that, Joshua, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, so if you avoid overclaiming, it will help, because overclaiming undermine your credibility and broader youth climate movement. No, people do not take you seriously. If someone will say we planted 100 trees or 1,000 trees, now is it alone you who planted it? Were you having a team of 100 people who also contributed? If each 100 of them are also saying they also planted 1,000, and you are saying you also planted 1,000, that is 1,000 multiplied by 100. So that's a lot of overclaiming happening. Yeah, everyone is saying that they planted 1,000, and then because of it something changed. So now this reduces the credibility. If one person is saying they are doing everything, climate security, climate justice, climate governance, everything, but then they are not able to prove it, the attribution is too much beyond what they can do directly, then it is reducing their credibility. Yeah, so overclaiming is not helpful as an ethical leader, and that's why it is good to know that Pooja is saying so true. This one point truly calls out government bodies and their claims. Right. Yeah. And here we are talking about any ethical leader. We are talking to you, so we are only talking about us and you. Yeah. If let's say we are organizing this training program and we say everything that you will do is because of this training that you have attended, that's a misappropriation, right? That's an overclaiming. Yeah, Farida and Bebua and Pooja, all of you are doing so much work. It's not that only this training is going to like nudge you to do everything. We cannot overclaim that. So in the same way, young people should also be very responsible, intentional, and ethical when they are trying to do that. And knowing different themes, knowing different levels, and then dividing and conquer will help you. And that's why we are organizing this session. Okay. So I've spent a lot of time. Let's go into the next one, Z. So let's try to understand the themes. You already know the levels. The first theme is climate security. Z, we go next. So what comes to your mind when you see the word threat multiplier? Any idea? Please write in the chat what comes to your mind when you see this word threat multiplier. Cascading impact, okay. Crisis, Lorenzo is saying. What comes to your mind when you see this word threat multiplier? Exacerbation. This is a difficult word. Joshua, how should I pronounce it? You're on mute.
Exacerbation. Exacerbation.
Exacerbation. Yeah, sorry, my tongue is not helping me. Okay, Semi is saying something that adds petrol to the fire. True, multidimensional, wicked problem, systemic issues. Steven is saying, right. Yeah, so Z, if you go next. So let's try to see it from this particular image. So you can see that there are two kind of codings in this map. Yeah, let's try to analyze this map and let me know what you can see in this map. Like what is it presenting? I can give you a hint. There are two different kind of things. You can see a drought index, so something with color in the region, and then there are some dots which are related to conflict. So anyone who can explain in the chat, what do you see, like what this map is representing? Because you know the threat multiplier, it should be easier for you to explain it. So let's try to see what you understand from this map. I think people need some time. They are still typing. Steven is saying conflict is observed in countries related to drought level. Okay. Yes, it is happening. Any other observation? So this is yes, what map is doing, but then are you seeing some connections, conflict and drought level? Okay, Afnan is saying higher conflict leads to lower drought index. Lower drought index, okay. Lower drought index means, just trying to make sense. I guess you are saying, Afnan, that if you have, like, it's not lower, but it's like minus level. So it's like more more drought happening. Okay, getting it. Lorenzo is saying conflict-heavy countries also experience adverse climate events. Okay, and Lorenzo, it could be other way around as well. That climate, like worse conditions that we see in some of the countries, also increases experiences around conflict. Sagar is saying conflict cyclone. Pooja is saying gradually increasing threat of drought across the world. Negative index. Yes, Sapna. Okay, conflict escalation due to climate-related issues. Yes, Freda. Stephen is saying lower drought index has a correlation with more recent conflict. True. Not yet causation, but can be one of the causes. Yes, Stephen. Thank you so much for taking, pointing it out. So let's go to the next one. So climate change is not the source of all the problems, yeah, but it has a multiplier effect, and it is an aggravating factor for instability, conflict, and terrorism. Yeah, our UN Secretary General also mentioned this. So you are right, Stephen. It's not the direct causation, but it has a multiplier effect, and it can aggravate some of the issues which are already there and which are kind of sustaining different conflict or creating different conflicts. Okay, we go next. So this is what this is where we start thinking from climate security point of view. Climate security refers to evaluate, manage, and reducing. Yeah, so all three. Like you need to evaluate, that is also climate security, you need to manage it, and you need to reduce it. The risk of peace and stability, and when we are talking about stability, we are also talking about human stability. We are not talking only about human security. We are not talking about only international level conflict and all. Yeah. So it refers to evaluating, managing, and reducing the risk to peace and stability brought by climate crisis. Yes, and we call it climate related security risk. So as its cascading effects increase, climate change can lead to exacerbate vulnerabilities and increased tensions, conflicts, and stability at the local, national, and regional level. So we need to always keep this in mind, that it has that threat multiplier kind of situation. And that's why we are talking about climate and security together, which becomes more of climate security. Z, if you go next. So let's try to understand how it happens. Yeah, we will take you into certain steps. So this is one example. Like if you will have worsened livelihood conditions, then this intensify competition over land, water, and resources, which mean that there is a greater risk of using violence to protect or access those resources. So this will become a communal conflict. Or there could be armed groups who are exploiting the absence of livelihood alternatives to recruit people. Yeah, so you can easily see that if because of the climate worsening situation happening in any particular community, livelihood can lead to competition, and then people can start using violence, or armed group can exploit that absence of livelihood alternative to recruit people. So that's one example of understanding how climate security related risk or climate related risk work out. Okay, let's go next. Now, if you have, let's say, adverse situations because of the climate conditions, it can also force you to move. It could happen at the local level, it could happen long distance as well. And that makes a risk of bringing migrants into the confrontation with other people, and that becomes a community conflict. Yeah, so let's say if a particular area is a drought-prone area and people are moving from that drought-prone region to some other area, and maybe that region also does not have enough resources. So if that is a situation, then there will be some kind of confrontation of these migrant groups or the migrant families with other groups who are already living there. So it will become a community conflict. Yeah, so that is another example. Let's go next, Z. If you have increased poverty and inequalities, yeah, so basically climate situation, you already know, like it can increase the poverty and inequalities, and if added with marginalization or discrimination, it can lead to social political grievances and instability of the government. Yeah, so it's directly connected. If people are not able to earn their livelihood, there will be poverty. In that poverty is not equal to everyone. Like drought does not affect all the families, all the genders, all the uh, ethnic groups in a similar manner. So there could be some kind of inequalities in that. And in that situation, if that is added with marginalization or discrimination, then it can lead to social political grievances against the government or instability for the government. Yeah, so that is also a situation how the small thing can become bigger. Okay, we go next. See, if you you know that if the sea level is rising, then it poses an existential threat to low-lying islands. So that is also related to climate-related security risk, yeah, because people, as we mentioned, it also kind of caters the human security. So if people are not able to live, if their land, if their livelihood um, is kind of not able to survive because of sea level rising, then it is directly related to the climate related security risk, and it can exaggerate any kind of conflict situation in those or because of those conditions. Okay, we go next. It also make it difficult for government to effectively implement coping strategies. So if you keep having different drought or let's say flood related situations or any other kind of climate change related like impact in a particular community which is already having a lot of conflict, then it make it very difficult for any government to to implement any coping strategy, and that make it really bad for communities, because community feel that government is failing them, government is not resolving the conflict, or government is taking too much time to resolve those grievances. Yeah, so this is how also climate change can lead to increasing different conflicts or instability in a region. We go next. If you see that any disasters are happening, that can enable local elites and corporate entity to acquire power and gain control over the resources and aid distribution. And if that is happening, of course, marginalization, exploitation, and discrimination will also increase. And that again can turn out to be any grievances against the government or instability or any kind of other conflicts. Yeah? So that is also a situation. Okay, we go next. So there could be also impact which can enable armed group to position themselves as alternative service or relief provider, where government are weak or they are not able to provide sufficient responses. And that will consolidate these armed groups stronghold and gaining support. Yeah. So for example, maybe yeah, I'm not sure all the communities, but let's say in Somalia, we know that when ISIS started like wanted to get more stronghold, they start saying that government is not able to solve their issues. Government is not able to provide the service delivery in the region, and that's how they exploited the situation, and they like kind of take care of like become a caretaker of a big territory in Somalia. So this can also happen, and this is also important to understand. We go next. So this is good to know that local conflicts rather than civil wars are more likely outcome of environmental degradation due to climate change. Yeah, but we need to always keep in mind that anything can happen. Like it's a small conflict, but it could lead to civil wars as well. We also need to know that young people are most affected from the climate related security risk. And that's why role of youth is even more important. And that's why we are talking to you. Yeah? So young people can actually do a lot for climate security. We will talk more about it. We go next. Okay, so now we will go to the breakout room and we will try to test how we are understanding climate security, how we are understanding this threat multiplier situation. We will go in different like self facilitated breakout groups for 10 minutes each. Joshua, your hand is up.
Yes, before we go into the breakout room, I just want us to take a picture together. Because this will also be the time where you will leave us and rest. So with that, I think can you unshare the screen quickly, Jingy, and then open your camera. This is the first launch of the climate action level 6 workshop. And I'm very happy that you guys are so far has been very much anticipating participating in all of the workshop. Can you unshare the screen so I could take the photo? Okay. Okay, I am. Let me see. Let me see if I remember how do I picture? How do I put here with us? Let me see. View. Multiple picture. Okay. It's embarrassing because I forgot how to take a picture in Zoom. But first, do I go to view and then multiple? No, gallery with us.
Let me
Bear with me. Gallery.
view. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's sorted now. Sorted now. Apologies. Okay. One, two. Okay, I'll just wait. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, one, two, three. Not yet. Almost everyone. Okay. Okay, we'll just wait. Okay, one, two, three. Smile. Okay. Bear with me, bear with me. Okay, but first. Oops. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay. And then last one. Oh, that's it. Not last one. Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for participating. I hope I get everyone, hopefully. I try my best.
Okay, so we will go into the breakout group now, and if you can share the screen again, there are two things that we want you to discuss. It will be a self facilitated discussion. So please do not wait for us to, like nudge you. You can already unmute your mic and then you can start asking each other or share your opinion. So this is the scenario: a coastal region that is constantly impacted by floods. Analyze how the community is going to be impacted and what is its threat multiplier. Yeah. So we divide it into 4 steps. Number 1 is you know what is climate change. Yeah, like what kind of climate change. Then you try to see what is a stress, like what stress is it causing, and then what impact it is causing, and then what will be the effect of that impact on the peace and security of the community. So we take the first one, which is if there is accumulation of CO2 in the atmosphere that will cause the temperature to increase, resulting to ice melting and sea level rise. That is the climate change scenario. And the stress will be that if sea level rise is increasing, it will cause coastal region to be frequently flooded. Now you need to think what will be the impact of those frequent floods and how that impact will have any effect on peace and security of the community. Okay, so you have 10 minutes and my colleague will open the breakout rooms. We will see you after 10 minutes and then we will talk more about it and then what more can be done.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just wait.
Yeah, and I will create the 7 breakout rooms and send you guys into room 3, 2, 1.
Okay, we have everyone coming soon.
Can see 24 people. Okay, people are joining. Nisha, hope you can hear me well.
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So Z, if you can go to the next slide. Yes. So anyone would like to share anything? You can raise your hand or you can write in the chat. What did you discuss? Did you already come up with any ideas about how it's going to impact peace and security in the community? You can write in the chat or you can raise your hand.
Yeah, yes, Pooja.
So in the breakout room number 6, some great points were mentioned about the impact, the business, the local business, the fishery business, they're all affected. People feeling the stress of it and losing their livelihood and their local business, uh, uh, basically get into conflicts, and which might also be the case when they have to move more inland. So one case that came to my mind was in 2020 in the state of Bengal. This problem was tackled very, very nicely and very helpfully by the local people, by the people of the state, more inland, who were more supportive, and people volunteered to help anybody who had lost their livelihood and such. So there was good social engagement. Apart from that, there is a pressure on basically the food supply is affected. So there is pressure on other food sources. And we were sort of discussing on what other measures can be taken. For example, if this is treated like a natural disaster, then there would be shelters that people can use in such instances. There would be certain networks of transportation that make sure that at least the fishery market is not affected to is not very much affected, and there are stores to preserve the catch before any disaster happens. So the alarm systems and all, they can come in handy. And there was an understanding that the public health would be an issue in such scenarios with the rise in waterborne diseases and bugs and mosquitoes, and so carrier diseases, those will be on increase as well. So there'll be an added stress on the health infrastructure, and this the built infrastructure in that region would definitely be affected as well. So increasing the pressure on the economy of the region.
Thank you, Pooja. So yeah, too many points, right? We need to see which ones are directly connected to peace and security. Like you mentioned, let's say livelihood, like loss of livelihood, and that creating different kind of stress on maybe the community. So is there a possibility that it can lead to any kind of conflicts? If so, then that is the direct connection, or that is the direct effect of this particular situation in on the peace and security of the community. Yeah. So we need to make that connection, and then only we are making the right connection for climate security. Right. We mentioned climate security is also about assessing it. So we need to assess it, keeping in mind that, of course, it can have more impact on health systems or like food chain systems and all of that. But what is the direct connection, or what is the impact or possible impact on the peace and security? That is something related to climate security. And then we try to do. So you already mentioned about what can be done, though you were not supposed to, you were not required to discuss that in the meeting, in this breakout group, and we can talk about it later as well. But you already did, that's great. So if we can first think about the direct or indirect effect of this particular scenario on peace and security, then you can think, okay, what should be done from climate security point of view, because there are many things that can be done. If this is happening, many things, something can be done from health point of view or food point of view, or something could be just a disaster risk reduction or management kind of scenario. But then when we are talking about climate security, that is why it is important to make that connection, to assess it, keeping peace and security in mind. Okay, so that's one. Let's hear from others as well. I'm reading in the chat very quickly. Okay, Wendell is saying that it can add to the stress because firstly, okay. So we were talking about very specific one. I'm more interested in reading. Okay, so impact, Sagar is mentioning economic losses, find agriculture productivity, reduced agriculture productivity, public health crisis, education disruption. Okay, let's also make the connections. Okay, so Sagar is already making the connections because it will lead to escalating resource conflict, social issues, competition for essentials. Yes, local authority may struggle to maintain order. True. Yeah, so this is how we are making connection. Yes. So this was just one example. And of course, there could be more as well, and we will discuss more, and we need like maybe we will need more time to go for it. But let's move on. Z, if you go next. So let's think about what can be done. Okay, sorry, I guess you can do.
Yeah, I think that was already
Uh,
shared as well.
yeah. If you go next, Z, one more slide. I guess this slide should come after this one. Okay, so what could be some possible climate security actions? Yeah, so you know, okay, this is how it is becoming a multiplier, or this is how it is affecting the peace and security in the community. What can be done? Z, if you go next. So we talked about different kind of actions, right? Personal actions, community level actions, and systemic level action. So personal action could be you can conduct a climate security risk assessment. Okay. If you go next. So something what you already did, right? Like you try to see, okay, this is the climate situation, this is a possible impact, and this is how this impact can affect the peace and security. That is a very simple climate security risk assessment. So you can do it on your personal level. You don't need much resources. It will help you very easily to take like gain better understanding about how it is impacting in your communities. Okay. Something else that you can do is you can enhance resilience and capacity to manage local resource tensions. So you need to see that how that local resource tension is increasing, and then you try to do something for that particular situation. Yes, you try to understand like what can be done to increase the resilience, or what can be done to increase the capacity to manage those risks or those tensions. Yeah. So this is a very, very simple personal level climate security action that you can do. Now to the community level actions. So if you go next. So you can also organize community dialogues to resolve local resource tensions, or using community climate change as an entry point of dialogue. These are two different things. Yeah. Maybe you want to bring the community, but then community is not willing to have a conversation on big topics. Then you can just bring them on, okay, how about we talk about climate change in the community? So that could be a starter. And then you can easily like lead them. If you have done your community security climate security risk assessment, you can easily deal them how particular climate situation is increasing risk in the community, and then what can be done around it. Or you can organize community dialogue directly on resolving those local level resource tensions that can happen in the community. As you already mentioned, that like normal like flooding situation or drought situation can easily create those resource tensions. So you can organize these, and this will be a direct climate security action. If you go next. Another thing at the community level could be you can nurture mindset for not being territorial with resources. So you know that when climate is impacting the communities, people need to travel, they need to migrate, they need to maybe look for other livelihood opportunities. But if people are becoming very territorial, that this is our resources and no one, like we don't want to share it with anyone, then that is where a lot of conflict can also arise. So this is a peace building initiative where we can like open these mindsets for not being territorial with resources, knowing that resources could be enough and it is safe to share. So this is also a peace building kind of initiative, but directly related to climate security action at community level. Next. You can also do mediation between groups at conflict. Yeah, so it could be migrants and host community. Like migrants are moving and host community do not want to share, then there will be conflict. So this is where there are two different kind of groups who need some kind of mediation. So dialogue might not be enough, but some mediation is needed. And of course, different dialogues could be part of those mediation group, but that is also a climate security related action. Yeah. So you see, right? We are not telling you to plant more trees only. You can see this, these are very specific, very concrete, concentrated efforts that you can do at the community level, which are directly related to climate security. Okay, if you go next. You can also build interreligious or intercultural cohesion among diverse groups in religiously or culturally diverse urban host communities. So, in a big community, when people are already stressed on the resources, they can use the differences based on the religion and based on the culture to aggregate the violence. Yeah, so if you can keep this in mind and you can build around interreligious and intercultural cohesion, that is a better way to go about. Okay, we go next. Systemic action, which is the last level, and very quickly on this, you can think about policy development by working with the government. It could be local level or it could be national level government to develop and implement policies that address climate change as a security issue. So not just the climate change, but also thinking about how this is related to security as well. Yeah, so for example, you can advocate for inclusion of climate security in NDC processes or NEP processes so that there could be more climate security related action. Like maybe the government are still seeing climate thing only as a climate risk, but it is not thinking about how it is leading to peace and security situation. How maybe they are not doing a climate security risk assessment. So you can nudge that, you can advocate for it. Next. Yeah, this is the last one. So you can also address the root cause. Yeah, try to find out and work with the government or specific disaster preparedness or climate mitigation adaptation work. And this will help to not let it escalate, not let it become a situation where violence is happening or it is impacting peace and stability in the community. Yeah, for example, you can promote sustainable livelihood to prevent conflict escalation. Now, many people might be working on sustainable livelihood, yeah. But if there is no intentionality, and that's why keep that in mind, intentionality is also very important. It's not that a sustainable livelihood initiative automatically becomes a climate security initiative. It will become only if there is intentionality to prevent conflict escalation. Yeah, so this is where I guess you have some idea about climate security. Sorry for taking more time. Joshua, over to you for climate justice.
No worries. Thank you very much for sharing your part. Next slide, please. So we are going into the next section, which is climate justice, which is part and parcel to the first topic, which is climate security. This one we're just looking on the people that is impacted by all of this impact. Yeah, next slide. So first, before we go, maybe quickly on the chat, what comes in your mind when you see the term vulnerable group? So I'll just take like maybe 5 seconds to see in the chat box when this word appears. What do you think? Me and my tribe. Okay. He and his tribe. Women and children. Okay. Can you elaborate the tribe? Inequality. Women and children. Okay. special groups. Okay. Next slide, please. So we're going to the main principle of climate justice. So essentially, it is basically looking into equity, right? So the issues of trying to look into equity, human rights in climate action, addressing the unequal historical responsibility of countries and communities. Okay. And looking into how it asserts those who are more wealthy from higher greenhouses, they are emitting more emission. So countries, industry, businesses, and individual, they all have a duty to assist those affected by climate change. And this is particularly important for vulnerable groups and communities which have contributed the least to the crisis, yes, yet suffer the most. Next slide. So why does climate justice matters is basically human rights are at risk, right? So basically what we go just now is what we went through just now is they are at risk because of the impact of climate change, and this causes loss of lives, livelihood, their language, their cultures, and triggers food and water shortages, and leads to displacement and conflict. So all of this happened because of rising temperature, extreme weather events, and pollution contribute to health issues such as heat stress, disease, outbreak, malnutrition, and trauma from disaster. So why I started with vulnerable population is essentially because vulnerable population experience higher mortality rates from climate-related events, and it toppled key infrastructure for human development, and particularly disrupting education and impact the future generation. So next slide. So why this is important? Because we want to ensure a just transition to sustainability, right? So in order to have just transition, we require to protect and consult this vulnerable group and marginalized community to prevent harm during the shift to green technology. So meaning we want everyone to move forward and not leave them behind. So those contributing most to climate change, so meaning i.e. the global north, or another term that I like to use is the mostly economically developed countries, should bear greater responsibility addressing the systemic, socio-economic, and intergenerational inequalities. And so basically this safeguard accountability, safeguard environmental rights for current and future generations, and it advocates for a stringent application of environmental rule of law, particularly for indigenous people. And before I go into the next one, I would just want to went through the chat. I see stateless, marginalized community, best a woman, young woman, and women and young women, all with disabilities, students, people who live in dangerous area like war zone, disaster risk area, lack of fundamental access, electricity, homelessness, indigenous people, groups that may be in need of support in policy level, awareness level, and resources level. And we have a very kind gentleman here to give the whole section here. So you can also refer to that. Thank you for giving that. And yeah, next slide, please. So taking into account all of the conversation just now, probably I wanted to check with you guys in your own breakout room session, the impact of climate change might impact marginalized community more than others. So what strategies can be employed to overcome these challenges? So just now, I think like I guess Pooja actually shared your how to say this get how to say this let me go back a little bit more. So just now Pooja actually shared a little bit of the points and try to use that point inside this discussion. So you were a little bit you guys went a little bit above and beyond just now. So try to bring that conversation back and try to utilize it here. So I think 4 backup room would suffice. So I would invite Jingy to put it into 4 backup room. Okay. Okay, good. A good student. Anticipating the next level. So yeah. Okay, we have everyone in already. Okay, good. And I went through some of the breakout room just now, and you guys were conversing, and I'm very happy that kickstart conversation in each of your groups. And yeah, wanted to ask if anyone can volunteer to share. And a lot of you guys actually share something. So I I think option is not a problem here. So yeah, Freda, you can unmute yourself and share.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I wasn't able to share my point at the breakup room, so I'm just going to share my point here with all of you. My point is, here in my country, when we are faced with such situation due to climate change and all that, yeah, especially in climate change, when marginalized communities are being affected, the government usually don't respond to it like in they don't respond to such situation quickly. So what people got to do, like people just have to, adapt themselves to whatever that is happening around them and the disaster and everything. They just got to adapt themselves and fit themselves into the environment again so they can live in that type of environment that the climate is causing for them to be in. Yeah, that's my point. I just want to share with you all.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anyone next? Someone, we can take one more, and we can also see people on the chat box as well. Mac, yes, unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Max Spanda in Zimbabwe. I think there is a lot that we really have to do in terms of climate crisis. Of recent, we are seeing a lot of extreme heat that is affecting mainly the elderly, women, livestock, and even the droughts that are coming up, especially in the global south. So I don't know what could be done, especially on how to address the question of extreme heat. Of course, now people are having the agenda on fossil fuel. But if we deep dive into fossil fuels, you find that we are still a long way to do away with fossil fuel. Yet there are issues of extreme heat that could need immediate attention to. So how can we really bring this on board? Because we need resilient infrastructure that could allow us to stand the issues of extreme heat. So that's my worry and concern to say what could be done, especially globally, reaching out to the rights holders who are mostly affected by extreme heat. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Both pertinent points. Thank you very much for sharing. Let's move into the next slide. So I think I think we have good examples from the African region, and really appreciate that we have them joining us. So we somewhat has people outside of the Asia Pacific region. So this is a case study, and you were mentioning about rights holder, right? And a lot of the people that you mentioned is people who lives in the communities, who rely on their resources or natural resources. And this is one example that we've decided to share with you guys. So a resident activist in Bukit Koman, Pahang, which is in Malaysia, which were sued by gold mining operator for speaking out on pollution. So basically, this is how grassroots engagement and how being specific on an issue, going back again into the first conversation we had, helps to accelerate climate action, help to celebrate climate work and trying to create solution in the grassroots level. So the first is there's this guy company called Raup Australian Golden Mining, where they sue an individual called Hussein Lee, a resident from Bukit Kaman, for libel and malicious falsehood. And this news was also reported by two media, which is Malaysia Kini Report and Free Malaysia Today. So what they were saying is they find a survey which highlight that the residents were not happy with the cyanide-like odor from the mining activities, which cause health issues, skin diseases, eye irritation, respiratory problems, and dizziness. And some even lead to a more dire situation, which is cancer. So Free Malaysia Today highlights that the mining activities claim to have created jobs for the villagers, but in reality, only less of the 10 locals were employed. So all of this is just, a facade saying that, oh, we are here to provide jobs for the locals, but actually they're not doing anything, right? So, and what this company usually do, because they have money, they claim that the articles defame. So they were also trying to limit the voices of the media of the country. So defame it by suggesting negligence, misinterpretation, and allowing sodium cyanide to escape from the plant, harming the village and health. So basically, it targets the people and saying, oh, you are all lying. There's no truth. Going to the next one. So so you try to see just now, that's like around 2016, right? So this leads to the High Court to dismiss the mining lawsuit. So the ruling basically goes with the article where it is based on legitimate concerns of the public health and were not malicious. And the Court of Appeal also upholds the High Court decision, agreeing that the lawsuit lacks merit and dismisses the company's appeal. And you try to see this company, because they have the money, they feel like, we can go a little bit more further. So they go into the federal court, and then just to sue this individual because they feel like, I want to earn as much as we can. And even here, despite already failing twice, trying the third time, and the justice system prevails, hopefully, luckily, delivers a unanimous ruling dismissing the mining lawsuit against the individual who filed the complaint. And the court acknowledges the importance of the activist group promoting public welfare and contributing to the social well-being. And the federal court also affirms and embraces the transparency, accountability, and free speech. And this ruling sets a precedent for defending against SLAP lawsuit. So SLAP is strategic lawsuits against public participation. So ensuring that activists can speak out on the matters of public interest without fear of defamation and suits. So as I can, as I've been sharing with you, like with power of grassroots people, if you are very pertinent in your issue and specific, it helps to build credibility. And in fact, I mean, again, this is best case scenario, right? Where the court is in favor of the people, and most of it, are laced with corruption and everything. But again, the core principle here is, if you are specific and if you build momentum and have credibility in what you're saying, like for instance, the media was also doing consensus surveys and backing up all of the issues, you can win because there's proof to show it. Next slide. So we go into the final section of climate justice. So first, on the personal action is basically advocating for human rights through your daily choice, and support communities impacted by climate change and have sympathy and understanding the environmental and their human rights to empower stronger action. So a collective action, so as a group or people in this Zoom call, we support local climate justice initiatives, strengthening grassroots organization and building collective resilience. involved in learning and incorporating indigenous knowledge into climate solution and respecting and uplifting indigenous voices. And finally, a more systematic approach like what the case study have shared, which is government and businesses should be held accountable for their climate promises through legal framework, public scrutiny, and international oversight. So promoting international cooperation, systematic reform to support vulnerable countries and communities. Next slide, please. Okay, let me check because there's a lot of things that was shared. So I will go through that because I feel like it goes hand in hand here. So Pooja went through a case study during the Amphan cyclone in the Bay of Bengal 2022. NGO raised funds, and some of the people shared about using the community grounds, enhance financial resilience of vulnerable communities, contextualize climate action. Okay. Shashar sent a recent case study. Thank you, Shashar. Where North Dakota jury, yes, Texas pipeline, thank you. And for activists targeted for doing something good for big names, need better legal support to stand against any chance. Okay, next slide, please. So yes, next slide, recap. So previously, when we go into the next one, we at the previous climate action workshop, it was on climate governance specifically. So I wanted to ask, how are you involved in national, regional, or international climate governance spaces? So you can put it rate from 1 to 5. How involved are you in it? 3, okay. 4, 4.5, 3, okay. Right, so we have 4.5 to 3. There's also 0 from Pooja. It's okay, Pooja. Next time you will get the number up. And Peter as well. Next slide, please. So yes, systemic climate action, I'll just breeze through this because we've already went through this on climate action level 5, but to people who've never attended it. So basically, systemic climate action influence climate governance to accelerate large-scale systematic transformation. Basically, it's a mechanism to create spaces for discussion and negotiation between all stakeholders, which includes youth. So one example is advocating for policy, participating in climate negotiation, and including youth voices in all levels of decision-making processes. So there is 2 spaces that you can be involved, either the formal or the informal section. Next slide. So these are the stakeholders in the climate governance spaces. So you have 5 stakeholders, so which is your local and national government, international bodies like your UN, and all of the others. And you also have your NGOs, private sectors like big companies, and other social factors such as small communities, villagers in your country. So all of these relevant stakeholders, they part and parcel work both in formal and informal spaces with your locally, so nationally and globally. So why locally there's more is because locally most of the people are involved in the individual level. So you are involved with it. It is in your everyday life. National is usually representative of your district or of your village that is taken to be a national representation of your district. And then global is basically a national representation. So out of all of the village or out of all of the province, you are the 1% or 2% that is representing your country. So all of these people, either you're working with them formally through consultative processes, or if you're a politician, you are lobbying effectively or introducing bills and law to basically enact change. Next slide. So next one is what comes to your mind when you see the word NDC, NAP, LTS, and loss and damage? You can write it in the chat. One or two words would suffice. Commitment, governance, and reduction. Okay. Carbon reduction. We'll wait for more. Okay, the technical stuff our youth must know. Okay, thank you, Shosha. Carbon reduction, a green vision for the future, technical stuff, financing, ambition. Okay, outcomes of the climate changes. Technically outcome. I think it would be more appropriate outcome of climate action. Yeah, the next slide, please. So this is the main set, how to say, this document that we usually go with regards to climate governance. So first is your NDC. So this is basically climate action plan submitted by the countries under the Paris Agreement, outlining their commitments to reduce greenhouse gases emission and adapt to impact of climate change. Your national adaptation plan are your strategic framework developed by countries to identify and address their medium to long-term adaptation need to climate change. And these two, I think everyone know about it. And when we are in the spaces, even if you are beginning level, I think by now many people who are at least interested in climate change, and especially if you're in climate change level 6, you would know what is NDCs and that. But probably for loss and damage, people who are not as well versed as our 4.5 involved friends, they might know the technical terms such as your loss and damage, your long-term strategies. And today, I think I would take this opportunity to share this a little bit more. So it refers to the negative impact of climate change that cannot be avoided through mitigation and adaptation efforts. This is for loss and damage. So it addresses a significant harm to communities and ecosystem that cannot be avoided, provide support to the most vulnerable communities, mobilize financial support. I also saw that just now. It acknowledged the historical responsibility of high emission countries, and it ensure that a comprehensive approach to tackling climate change. So basically, these are the technon under loss and damage. Whereas for long-term strategies, they are basically central to achieving net zero emission, limiting warming, and preventing some of the worst impact of climate change. So basically, this one aligns to so basically it's a guiding vision to align near-term policies and investment, so ensuring that climate action are strategically focused and consistent. So it also helps countries avoid costly, unnecessary investment in high emission infrastructure. Sorry, let me go back. And facilitate technological innovation, guide a just and equitable low carbon transition, and ensuring that the vulnerable communities are supported. And basically, last one is help businesses to understand the long-term societal change and adapt their investment accordingly, driving innovation and suitable growth. So basically, long-term strategies or LTS or LTS LEDs are basically how can they or how can they support the NDCs and NEPs concurrently. So next slide, please. So I would like to take an example, a case study from Singapore of how a climate governance structure is being taken place. So this is how international policy shape a national policy. So from first, you have Singapore laying out a mitigation plan to keep track of with Singapore net zero commitment. So this is to adhere to the Paris Climate Agreement. And the next one, to express concrete commitments, transparency on government commitments to achieve net zero goal. So this is, for example, if you try to see here, these are the commitments that the government has set in place of what they wanted to do to achieve that goals. And if you try to see, is laid out a green economy to transition Singapore's away from carbon-based economy. So basically trying to see new enterprises, type of innovation, type of subsidies they are trying to target on people so that they could generate a greener economy. And finally, laid out Singapore's adaptation plan to limit impact of climate change to its citizens. So this is on the adaptation part of things. So having a more resilient future, safeguarding their coastline, safeguarding food security, and keeping Singapore, because it's a city state, to how can they keep it full effectively. So next slide, please. So yeah, before I go further, I think, do you guys followed so far with all of the discussion? As I mentioned, today is a little bit more dense than your usual climate action workshop. So if you need some time to digest, I also understand. So, and I also will give my email at the end of the workshop. So if you have any question, you can ask me there. So going back into the climate governance action, first is personal action, research your country initiative, read relevant full report. I already shared the report just now. I think Jingyi will also share it again in the document, in the chat box later. Connect with change maker involved in climate governance, join relevant relevant organization, Yango, GYBN, Unify, and finally, a systematic action is participate in your national climate plan, NDC, NAPS, and involve in your COP statements and IPCC summary report. Next slide, please. So yeah, I think most of you put inside the chat box, and I also want to take into account the time. So we'll just go into the next slide. So finally, have you figured out what are your climate niche, or what specific climate action are you mostly working on? I would want to take this chance for you to think and marinate on that idea first before we go to the next slide. So I will go to the next slide while you guys go narrating with all of the points. So I also mentioned just now, the main point of today is also identifying your climate focus, right? So this activity is thoughtful, crafted to deepen your understanding, interests, skills, and if you're active or inactive at the movement. And this personalized approach ensure that you can effectively contribute to the fight against climate change in a way that is both fulfilling and impactful. So next one. So yes, please take a QR code, and I'll give probably like 3 minutes to answer this question. Yeah. So you can basically check. I probably will take another extra 5 minutes of this. So if you have already done it, yeah, just quickly for 3 minutes, circle, and I'll just go back. 1 more minute, and then we'll go into the answer. All right, so next slide, please. So if you guys have answered it just now, basically what it goes is if your answer is majority A, basically most of the action that you're working on is on general climate action initiative, or you focus on more on the grassroots issues. So most of your work are practical action initiative to reduce carbon emission and promote green technologies. So if you are majority Bs in your answer, it will be cater or center on equity and justice, advocating for policy and action that supports vulnerable communities. If your answer is mostly C, it also means that you are mostly working on the climate security part. So you are mediating many risks and preventing escalation and resolving risks and resolving conflicts and building resilience. And finally, majority D is climate governance. So it involves with engaging in policy development, negotiation, and advocacy to influence effective climate policy agreement and international cooperation. Next slide. So, so a recap of what we learned today is basically in general climate action, you guys are learning on broad side of activities. In climate security, you look on risks and how do you mitigate that risk. And on climate justice is emphasizing on the ethical and equity dimension of climate change. And climate governance is mostly working on how do you influence policy, regulation, and work on framework and government or govern climate action. And basically, I want to check on the focus. So your focus on general climate action are still broad, and probably you are still new to this section. On climate security, again, working on peace, stability and security issue. And on climate justice is on equity and human rights. And finally, on climate governance is on accountability of governance and how do you influence climate policy. And lastly, next slide, sorry, forgot to say next slide. Yes, we come to the end of the session. So my divide and conquer climate action plan. So what are 2 things you learned today and the 2 action that you will take in the future are? So try to put that into your learnings today. Because we have 1 minute left, so I don't think we could get that everything. And I want to be mindful of your time, and I feel like some people has their Eid coming up soon as well. So try to think this as we move forward or as we move away from today's session. And I just want to say very much thank you for all of the chat box, all of the involvement thus far. You guys have been very good and very engaging. I really appreciate that. And this is why we go a little bit overblown, and that's good because you guys are effectively joining, effectively participating in the conversation. So next slide. And next slide, another next slide. Okay, so finally, if you want to be inside a mover, you can join. These are the steps and these are the URL. Please scan here for the feedback form and you will receive your certification if you need. So with that, I would like to say thank you again for everyone. We end at 2 hours at the dot. I've also put the type of article that you can read to enhance your knowledge. And very important, like what Mridul was mentioning, understanding what are your niche, it will help. While sometimes it's also important to browse around, but when you're working on a specific issue, it's good to be specific. It helps you to also understand or work with relevant stakeholders so that you know, okay, this is the issue that you want to solve on. So with that, I'll put my email here if you want to ask any question. And I will try to answer them. And yeah, I think that is it. Thank you very much. And I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.